There's a great saying and a great book title from years ago from one of our prior guests, Harvey Mackay. You remember the author Harvey Mackay. He's written a whole bunch of great books with really funny, unique titles, like How to Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, Beware of the Naked Man Who Offers You the Shirt Off His Back. But the title of one of his books that I like best is this, and it is a lesson for life. Dig your well before you're thirsty. Dig your well before you're thirsty. That's what step number 2 is. Welcome, empowered investors. This is episode 1865. Thanks for joining us today. We have Peter Goodman back with us today. He is the author of Davos Man, and it is a fantastic book, and he's back with us today, so we'll get to him in just a moment. Also, I don't want to forget to tell you, like I did the other day, about our upcoming interview with the author of Woke Inc., which, by the way, I'm almost finished with that book, finished Davos Man a few weeks back, but Woke Inc. is excellent. I mean, it is just one of the best books in a while for me. I'd highly, highly recommend you get a copy of this to really understand how the woke industrial complex works. I don't know if he used that phrase, but hey, I'm using it. And it's truly shocking, like the Watergate conspiracy back in the early 70s, right? Deep Throat said, follow the money. And it's all about following the money. And this is such a distraction that these companies engage in with their wokeness to hide all of the evil, awful, despicable stuff that they are doing. It's nothing more than a distraction, folks. That's exactly what it is. It is beyond ridiculous. And there are so many things that I did not understand about this. It puzzled me as to why these companies engage in this craziness, just nonsensical behavior. But when you get through this book, you'll really understand it a lot more. And our interview with him is coming up. Again, like I said, maybe we'll publish that next week, maybe the week after, but we'll get it out to you. It was a great interview, but the book is also very much worthwhile, as is Davos Man, our guest today. So we're going to get into Davos Man here in just a moment. But last night on our Empowered Investor Inner Circle Zoom meeting, which, by the way, we're changing the name of the Inner Circle to the Pro Group. So it's Empowered Investor Pro, a little bit fewer syllables, right? A little easier to say. And I'm telling you, if you are not a member of this group, you're just totally missing out. Go and join it. Go to empoweredinvestor.com and get yourself a membership. This is one of the cheapest and best investments you will ever make. Phenomenal. But one of the things I shared, and I'm not going to go into the detail I did last night here, but I just want to quickly mention it. And if you're looking at this on screen, if you're seeing the video portion, this is the population clock from the US Census Bureau. And this is a static image. Normally it's moving. The one I showed last night is the moving version. But the point I want to make here is that in the US, in a country of almost 333 million people now, a person is born every 8 seconds, a person dies every 11 seconds, an immigrant comes into the country every 130 seconds. Under Joe Biden, it's probably every 2 seconds, illegally, by the way, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. But this results in a net gain in the population of one person every 26 seconds. Every 26 seconds, we add another person. And that person consumes resources. Hopefully they grow the economy and grow the GDP as well as their consumption. And they need shelter. They need a place to live. Look at this massive pool of new renters coming into the market. And last night I went over the demographic pyramids of some different countries, the US, China, India, etc. And what you notice here is that the US just has such favorable demographics for rental housing or for purchase housing as well. I mean, look, we're interested in both sides of this market as real estate investors because, of course, we want more buyers out there in the marketplace. That'll push our prices up, our values up, right? But mostly we want more renters because those renters increase rental prices and increase rental demand and put constant upward pressure on rents. And like I've been saying, folks, whatever you think the rents are today, they are dramatically behind. They are lagging the prices. Let me give you an example. And, since Sarah, our investment counselor, is not here with me at the moment, she was on the Zoom meeting last night and told the specific story. But one of our clients who you've heard on the podcast, Bruce, he is in the lumber business, and one of the new homes he's purchasing through our network had a price escalation clause in it. And he's already had like another price escalation because it's a very long construction and escrow period. And what he said is he sent us a message and he said, hey, and by the way, Bruce, hi, I'm sure you're listening to this. I know you listen to all the episodes. He said, hey, I don't know if I should go forward with this deal because it's another price increase. And what was interesting about that is the original pro forma rent on his deal. Now, don't quote me on the exact number. I might be like $50 off or something, okay? But it was something like $2,300 a month. That was the original pro forma rent. But the new rent, just since he made the purchase decision, is now projected at $3,100 per month. Wow. Okay, wait. We need to really notice that. Yeah, $2,300 to $3,100 a month, roughly. Last night, I was teaching our Empowered Investor Inner Circle members about adjustable rate loans because we're moving more into an adjustable rate market where it actually, as much as I love fixed rate loans, I've taken many adjustable rate loans throughout my investing career since I was 20 years old because sometimes they actually make more sense. And I was teaching the Empowered Investor Pro members about how to evaluate adjustable rate loans, how to understand them, with the lifetime cap, the periodic cap, the margin, the index, the fully indexed rate. And that fully indexed rate is what you'd call maybe the real rate on an adjustable rate mortgage because it's not tethered to a periodic cap. And look, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I've discussed this to some extent on past episodes. Of course, if you join the Empowered Investor Pro group, all of these monthly meetings are in the archive. And sometimes we have more than one meeting a month and they're in the archive and you can watch them anytime. But the point being that the fully indexed rate on an adjustable rate loan is like the real rate. And I made the comparison to rents. The rents we have now lag housing prices by 2 to 3 years. I've said that very often, nothing new there. But we are not even close to the fully indexed rate for rent. For rents. Rents are going a lot higher, folks. Mark my words, this is a prediction I will be right on the money about, okay? You're going to see much, much higher rents in the future, okay? All right, so that's that. Now, I am in several mastermind groups. Of course, one is my own mastermind group that I run with Ken McElroy and George Gammon. That's called the Collective Mastermind. But I'm also just a paying member of several other groups. And I've been members of many mastermind groups over the years. And it has been a phenomenal experience for me. I have learned so much from the doers, the people that are really out there doing it, instead of listening to a lot of my friends who probably aren't listening to the show. So I'll give them a hard time, who are kind of those armchair quarterback type people. We all have friends like that who aren't actually doing the thing, but they sure seem to know everything about the thing, like real estate investing. And they know all the reasons why it won't work. And they've become very bitter because they've missed the last 12 to 14 year boom time in the real estate investment world. And, they instead put their money into some stupid mutual fund and, they got a little bit of return, but, not tax advantaged, wasn't a very good return. Well, real estate investors doing the right thing, listening to the stuff I share, the good techniques, the prudent techniques. Well, they've made a fortune, right? They've made an absolute fortune. So these people are the new experts. They've become very, very jealous of the people who've done it and made it, right? But listening to the doers and being a member of like their private forums, maybe private Facebook group, or they're on some other platform as a private forum. What I noticed is there were a few things a lot of them were doing. Like someone asked a really good question the other day. They posted, what are you doing to prepare for a possible recession and possible transition in the economy? And I looked at all of the answers just reading the thread, which was very, very enlightening. And knowing these people personally and knowing how successful many of them are, I mean, tremendously successful people in many cases. And I wanted to come up with a few little steps that I think all of you should take, steps that I'm taking that I think are really just prudent steps before we get to our guest today. And number one is look for ways to cut expenses. Look, if you've been living the high life and just kind of blowing money, it's time to be more careful. I think that is kind of obvious, right? Be more careful, be more prudent, and spend money on the things that really bring you joy. And mostly those things you're probably going to find they're more centered around experiences than they are around things and stuff. Okay? Although, hey, things and stuff are good too, but experiences are the things we really remember. Number two, secure credit lines. Folks, this is some of the best advice out there, because if we move into a world, an opportunity where assets go on sale, they might be stocks, they might be bonds, they might be real estate. I kind of doubt they're going to be real estate, but hey, we'll see. You've already heard me talk extensively about that. You want to be in a position where you have credit available to you. And one of the best sources that I can recommend for this is that you simply take advantage of our free funding workshop. Okay. And by the way, let me find that link. Yeah, it's jasonhartman.com/fund, jasonhartman.com/FUND for fund, and learn about how you can get really quite easily $50,000 to $250,000 worth of credit for real estate, for business, for anything you want for free. This is no interest credit for a period of maybe 12 to 18 to even like 20, 22 months of no interest credit. And it's not credit. You don't have to use the credit. Just have it ready for opportunities that come along or emergencies that come along. Maybe you get into a cash pinch and you need credit. Look, folks, there's a great saying and a great book title from years ago from one of our prior guests, Harvey Mackay. You remember the author Harvey Mackay. He's written a whole bunch of great books with really funny, unique titles, like How to Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, Beware of the Naked Man Who Offers You the Shirt Off His Back. But the title of one of his books that I like best is this, and it is a lesson for life. Dig your well before you're thirsty. Dig your well before you're thirsty. That's what step number 2 is. You need to be thinking right now before you need it. You might be thinking, hey, I'm cash rich. I don't need any cash right now, But let me tell you something, folks. You want to secure credit lines in advance of needing them. Check out the free class, jasonhartman.com/fund, FUND, secure credit lines. Okay, set up entities to protect assets. This is one of those other things in life that you must do in advance. It's very easy, it's very cheap, but you gotta do it in advance. You can never do this thing after the fact, okay? You can never do it after the fact. And that is really, really important that you do this in advance. And for that one, we've got a great partner for you, another partner. Check out his free class at jasonhartman.com/protect. jasonhartman.com/protect. You must take care of this stuff in advance. Dig your well before you're thirsty. And that one's jasonhartman.com/protect. Okay, make educated investments. Step 4, make educated investments. Look, if you're listening to this show, I'm sure you already have that figured out. If you're new to the show, maybe you don't have that figured out. So if you go to jasonhartman.com, on the front page of the website, there's a great 30-minute video on basically how to analyze a real estate deal. Okay. And we want you to know how to make prudent investments. So go there, check out that free video, jasonhartman.com, on the front page, right there in the middle. Watch that video. Really, really good. And of course, there are more things. There were a lot more things that my friend shared in this great thread I was reading the other day. But I just wanted to share that stuff with you. Get your credit secured. Look for ways to cut expenses. Be lean and mean right now. Set up your asset protection plan in advance. Set up your credit lines in advance. Those things you must do in advance. And make educated investments. Keep listening to the show. Go back, listen to old episodes, etc., old videos. And by the way, comment below if you're watching this on YouTube with any questions or thoughts you have, and we will try to get to those on a future show. And of course, there's going to be more to follow on that. Okay, so I wanted to play this little clip. It's only 30 seconds long, and you're probably going to recognize this guy's voice. You probably love him, but in case you don't, just listen with an open mind. I've talked to you many times before about how the government and the corporatocracy wants you to be single. And if you're married, they want to break you up. Your marriage is under attack. Think about the problem the corporatocracy was facing. Of course, they wanted to gain more market share for their products. Of course, they wanted more workers. But you know what problem they used to have that I haven't talked much about? And that is that before women really came into the workforce, wages for men were going up a lot. They were increasing rapidly. And guess who didn't like this? The corporations didn't like it because they want cheap labor. And they thought, how are we going to put downward pressure on these wages for all these men working in the workforce? Think of, a show like Mad Men during that era, right? Or even before that era and after it to some extent, but all around that, era, okay? They wanted to suppress those wages because the bargaining power was in favor of the employee. Now, what better way to do that than to get the other half of the population to enter the workforce so that there would be more competition for a limited number of jobs? They do this also by not controlling the borders, because that puts downward pressure on wages and hides real inflation and makes it cheaper for employers. Folks, this is such a vast conspiracy. It really is. And, I don't want to hear the conspiracy crap, okay? There are lots of conspiracies going on that are quite real. We just celebrated the 4th of July here in the United States of America. The United States of America was a conspiracy to rise up against the British crown. Okay? A conspiracy is simply something that, 2 or more people are planning and trying to keep under wraps. It's really not complicated. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist or wear a tinfoil hat. Grow up. There are conspiracies all around us, and they are hurting you. They are hurting your marriage. They are hurting your family. They are stealing money from you. They are all over the place. Here's the 30-second clip.
Corporate America wants you childless, and this is a big change. 100 years ago, big companies built housing for the families of their employees and then schools and libraries to educate them. It was the humane thing to do, but it also seemed to make good business sense at the time. If you wanted workers you could count on, you had to take care of them and their offspring. But over time, that arrangement got expensive. Employees with families demanded higher wages to support their children, and in many cases, they formed unions to get those raises. So labor costs soared.
So there you go. That's just a little insight into it of a very big, long story. All right. let's get to Peter Goodman and talk about Davos Man. Here we go.